Episode number 21 of the Belleville Sens podcast is here. David Foote, Joel Vanderlaan back with you as always. And the offseason, it's getting pretty quiet. It's getting pretty quiet right now. Free agency is done. We talked about a lot of the Senators' free agent signings last week. Nothing since. The wire has been flatlined for the time being. So in terms of news and notes, not a lot going on this week. We do have a couple of excellent feature interviews for you. We will introduce you to two new members of the Belleville Sens staff. One behind the bench, the new assistant coach, Nate McIver, will join us from out east. And then a maritime transplant into our front office. Jill Hayward will join us from our corporate sales and marketing department for a new edition of Get to Know Your FO, because we have a lot of new faces around the office, and we want you to get to know them as well. The face you do know, the voice you do know is Joel Vanderlaan. How's it going, Joel? Again, a pretty quiet week. I mean, we've been firing out press releases here and there, but it's been pretty quiet right now.
Yeah, the off-season's kind of run its course in the terms of transactions, trades, draft, all that's kind of complete, but it gives us time to kind of catch up with some of the newest members like you mentioned off the top, and obviously great to connect with Nate McIver and kind of dive into his deep hockey history. Yeah,
but before we get to Nate, we'll get into his background a little bit to give the fans a bit of an idea of who he is and the type of coach that's coming into town this season. Again, filling that void left by David Bell when he was promoted to the head coach after Troy Mann left the organization. I mean, he's got a lot of experience. He's got about a decade in the American Hockey League, played in the OHL, so has been to Belleville back and forth a few times, coached in Oshawa too, and we're going to learn a lot more about him and how strong his connections to the Senators organization in general really are. But from first impressions, it seems like an excellent hire by Ryan Bowness, Dave Bell, and the staff.
Yeah, it really does. And like you mentioned, he's got the OHL connections with the Oshawa Generals coaching there. Then he makes the progression, the jump to the ECHL, goes to back-to-back Eastern Conference championships with the Growlers, and now he's going to take his talents to the American Hockey League. So like a player, he's progressing up the coaching ranks and finding a lot of success as he goes along as well, which is really a positive to see.
The 38-year-old native of Summerside, PEI, becomes the newest member of the Senators staff, and we'll chat with Nate McIver next on the Belleville Sens podcast. Again, an interview with Jill Hayward coming up as well, and we will have some news and notes for you coming up later on in the show, so make sure to stay tuned. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the show, rate, and review, and stick around to hear from Nate McIver, the new assistant coach for the Belleville Senators.
Get in the game. Start planning now for the next season of Belleville Senators hockey. The new Belleville Sens Business Elite program is a season seat membership just for business. Use tickets to treat your staff or attract new clients. Benefits include AHL TV game packages, exclusive member events, and more. All packages offer a VIP business experience like in-arena signage. More info on season seat memberships, flex packs, and the Business Elite program at BellevilleSens.com. Go, Sens, go!
Back on the Belleville Sens podcast, episode number 21. David Foote and Joel Vanderlaan here, and really pleased to be joined by the newest member of the staff with the Belleville Sens, Nate McIver, joining on this season as an assistant coach, filling that gap left by Dave Bell when he was promoted to the head coach of the club. Nate, nice to meet you, at least this way. Thanks for taking the time for us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys. It's great meeting you guys as well.
We'll get into your playing career in a little bit. You've been in a bunch of different cities and lots of AHL experience, but I wanted to just talk about this kind of process of landing with the Belleville Senators. It's been a bit of an eventful summer for you.
Yeah, it has been, and it kind of started, I guess, would have been, I was in playoffs. It would have been the end of April. I kind of heard there was an opening. They're looking for a defense coach in Belleville, and once we had lost out, would have been end of May, I reached out to Ryan Bowness, and he put me in touch with Dave Bell, and I went through the interview process. So
nice to have that connection, obviously, with our general manager, Ryan Bonus.
yes.
What is that kind of background with you guys?
Well, we've known each other for a long time. We played against each other in the OHL. He was in Brampton. I was at St. Mike's. So he's in the same division. We've seen each other a lot. So I knew him a little bit from then, and him being from the Maritimes as well. I used to go to, actually, his dad, Rick, coached me a little bit in Vancouver. And then I used to go to his golf tournament every summer, and then Ryan be around there. So I met him a little bit over the years at the golf tournament.
You got your career started in coaching in Oshawa. Obviously, Bob Jones was the head coach there.
Yes.
Another connection in the organization. What does that mean to get his endorsement as well?
Well, I've known Jonesy for a long time. He's actually coached me at St. Mike's, so he was my first D coach in the OHL for 2 years. So I had him. That was back in 2002 to 2004, and then I hadn't talked to him a lot over probably a 10-year span, and then I ended up getting. There was a job opening in Oshawa, and I applied for a job there, and he was the head coach, and I got it, and then I got the opportunity to work with him for 2 years. So I've known Jonesy for a long time, so it's good to be back working with him again.
Does it kind of make sense for you to come to this Ottawa organization, knowing Ryan Bonus, knowing Bob Jones, and kind of relying on those connections? Obviously, when we talked to Ryan Bonus, he said one of the main reasons he wanted to hire you is because he knows what a competitive guy you are, and just kind of the class human that you are as well.
Yeah, I think that was a big part. Like this is the spot where I really wanted to go. Really want to move up from the ECHL to the American Hockey League this year, and the team we had, me and my family had targeted that we really want to go to. Having those connections with Ryan, with Jonesy, and with Justin Peters as well, who I played 3 years with at St. Mike's.
Chatting with Nate McIver, the newest Belleville Sens assistant coach. Yeah, it's been quite the process to get you here, and obviously it seems like a really good fit. How familiar are you with Belleville, maybe from your time playing back in the O, or coaching with Oshawa as well before the team moved?
Well, a little bit familiar with it, like playing in the OHL, playing against the Bulls for 3 years, and playing the playoffs 1 year. So I did spend some time out there throughout my career, and then spent 5 years. We lived in Bowmanville when I coached Oshawa, so just down the highway there, so not too far away. So we did have spent a little bit of time in Belleville, but not a whole lot.
It's almost a bit of a homecoming in that sense, really,
Yes.
that if you spent that much time just down the 401. And
Yeah.
you would have experienced, I guess, as a player in the O, going from the smallest rink in the OHL to the biggest when you came to Belleville.
That's correct. So that's my first year. We played Belleville to play the Bulls in the first round. It went 7 games, and the home team won every game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds about right.
We had home. We were fortunate enough to have home ice, so we went the distance, and we beat them in Game 7 at home.
For those listening that maybe forget the old St. Michael's College School Arena, it's basically a shoebox that thing.
Shoebox, and then going to the Olympic size ice. Yeah, it was a big adjustment every game.
And then you played for many years in the AHL, obviously some NHL time as well, and time spent in AHL cities that we visit fairly frequently. Yes. Manitoba, Providence, we're not going this year, but Bridgeport as well. How much are you going to rely on that experience as a player in this league in trying to develop this next wave of prospects on the blue line?
Well, I think I spent 10 years in the league, so I do, as you mentioned, I do have a lot of experience. I have a lot of good times in my career and a lot of disappointments as well, getting up and down. So I have a lot of experience in that regard, of being in the league, getting called up, getting sent down. So I think that's something I can help pass on to the next wave of players.
As a coach, you played under Dave Cameron, Randy Carlisle, Lane Vigneault, some of these top-end coaches. How have those guys kind of helped mold you as a player, and now as a coach, kind of reflecting on your time with those guys?
I think I was fortunate enough to have a lot of good coaches throughout my career. So I think it's just kind of, you take little things from each one of them and you kind of remember them. So, Randy and Elaine, that was 10, 15 years ago. I had those guys, and Dave was back in junior. So that's almost 20 years ago now. So, but you remember little things you learn from them, things they've taught you, then you try to help pass on to the next group of players.
Chatting with Sens assistant coach Nate McIver. How would you, I guess, quantify kind of your coaching philosophy? What type of coach, what type of leader do you want to be for the guys here?
Well, first of all, I'll set a good example for the players, and that's as when I play as well. When I was older in my career, I was often the leader in the team, so I think I have good experience in that. And being a good role model, being a good leader for these guys. And then I'd like to be a player's coach. I've always had a good relationship with my players as assistant coach. I think that's very important.
You mentioned 10 years in the American Hockey League. Is there anywhere you're looking forward to getting back to now that we've got the schedule out? We know where.
Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So I spent 5 years there with the Moose, and I haven't been back since I played my last game with them. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's been a while. So
Winnipeg the first week of January.
A lot has changed since then. Yeah.
Yeah. Winnipeg the first week of January will be out.
Yeah, that's right. It'll be -30. Yeah.
On kind of a fun, positive note, there's a lot of guys from the Maritimes in this Ottawa Senators organization. How cool is it to kind of reconnect with some of those guys? Josh Curry came over, looking at Ryan McKinnon signed as well, and you coming on board. Is that kind of a nice connection for you to have?
Yeah, it's great to have the connection. I went to Ottawa's development camp there 2 weeks ago, and it was very good to see the most familiar faces as well on the pro scouting side. Mark Flood, who's my best friend, and Jim Clark's from Summerside as well. So a couple of guys that I seen there when I was in Ottawa. So it makes it a lot easier when there is some familiar faces.
Yeah, that's wild that the connections are so deep for you in this club.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and then I've known Ryan. Like I know Josh a little bit. Like I used to skate with him at the tail end of my career, but I've known Ryan's family since he was 10 years old. So known him for a long time.
Lastly, what does the rest of the summer look like for you in terms of moving to Belleville? You got to get here, and I assume you'll be at Ottawa camp and everything like that in September as well.
Yeah, we'll go to Ottawa camp first. Then we're heading to the rookie tournament in Buffalo, I believe. Then we'll be heading to Belleville after that. So rest of summer here, just right now trying to find an apartment or find a house to rent in Belleville. So that's the number one priority right now. And then just getting prepared for the season, try to get some video work done. So when we show up at training camp, we'll have a lot of that stuff done already.
Still try to enjoy a little bit of the summer that you have left as well. How will you be spending your time outside of hockey?
Just spend a lot of time with my 8-year-old son. So he's out of school now for the summer. He's not in many camps. So me and him are just spend a lot of time together.
Nice. Will your family come with you to Belleville or?
Not permanently, no.
Yeah.
No, but my father-in-law actually lives just north of Kingston up in that area. So they'll be up visiting lots. So,
well, as we've established, plenty of connections for new Belleville Sens assistant coach Nate McIver here in the Friendly City, and we look forward to meeting you in person in a couple of months. Thanks again for this.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having me.
Don't miss 1 second of Belleville Senators action this season. The Belleville Sens Entertainment Network is the only place to hear live coverage of the Belleville Senators for all 72 games plus playoffs. Pre-game coverage begins 15 minutes before each game with David Foote, and the network is also home to the Belleville Sens podcast, the Belleville Senators Entertainment Network, presented by Deerhaven Farm and Garden. Tune in on the Belleville Sens app or BellevilleSens.com.
Back on the Belleville Sens podcast, thanks to Nate McIver for his time. Boy, really excited to meet him in person, and another Maritimer that's going to join the staff here, joining a growing list of people with maritime connections within the Senators organization from Ottawa to Belleville, including our next guest, who is Jill Hayward from our front office. Get to know your FO, get to know your front office is making a return because we have so many new people in the office. Thanks, Jill, for doing this. I know you're a little apprehensive.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I will turn your microphone on. That will help as well. Okay. Yeah, we haven't had a third person in live in a few weeks, so I forget these things sometimes. Thanks for doing this. The first thing we get people to do is tell us their title, because I get everybody's titles wrong. What is your title?
I am a coordinator for corporate partnerships. So I'm in the corporate partnerships department.
And meaning your basic day duties are?
Making sure the assets on contracts for our partners are being met and succeeded during the home games.
Yeah, basically working alongside Marie Pino, who our longtime listeners of the podcast would have remembered from her time on Get to Know Your FO. And as we mentioned, you're a Maritimer at heart and at home. Yes. How did you end up in Belleville?
So I ended up going to Durham College to do my graduate certificate in sport business management because it's something I've always wanted to do. And I ended up interning in Ottawa for the Ottawa Senators in the corporate partnerships department. And I really did enjoy it. And this position popped up at the perfect time, and I knew I had to take it.
Yeah, and we know you've got some experience in junior hockey as well with St. John's out in the QMJHL as well. Have you always been a big hockey fan?
Yes, I actually grew up playing hockey. Me and my younger sister, we both played hockey until I was around 16. I played AAA hockey for my high school hockey team, and I was fortunate enough to play with her my last year. And yeah, I did play, I worked junior hockey for the St. John Sea Dogs as an usher since I was 16, 17 years old.
Awesome. Anybody notable come through St. John's while you were there?
Philip Dow.
Oh, yeah, boy, we know him. We know him real well. Boy, speaking of people we're excited to see this season, really looking forward to see how Phil bounces back from his injury last year.
Yeah, you got to see your team win a Memorial Cup as well. That's always special. I guess, like David mentioned, you came to Ontario, you went to Durham College, then you got the internship with the Ottawa Senators. How have you liked your time in Belleville, getting to kind of get used to the area? I know you're staying in Kingston, but meeting all the new faces around this organization.
So far, everybody's been very welcoming. It's something that I was worried about coming in. I feel everybody's a little worried when they're coming into a new organization on like feeling things out, but I feel I was a part of the team very quick, and everybody in the office has done a really good job at that. I'm just really excited for the season to start now.
The small team is kind of like a blessing and a curse because, you get that kind of team mentality pretty quickly, but at the same time, there's a landslide of work to do when we have so few people. So you've really kind of been thrown into the fire here.
Yeah, no, I love it.
No, you came at the right time as well. Summertime, you get to kind of see people's personalities shine through. I know you're part of the social committee. We go golfing. You and Marie, David, and Garrett have kind of booked this. We had our team bonding barbecue as well. How cool has it been kind of to get those up and running and kind of connect it with the staff in that way outside of work?
It's cool because you get to see a lot of people's personalities outside of work shine through. And you really get to know people, and people really get to know, people get to know myself as well. So I find that really cool, and it just makes us closer, and I value that in a workplace.
I guess with Ottawa, it's a large staff. You were interning there. Do you feel like that kind of helped you as well to kind of get to know more types of roles in the organization, kind of see how it works up in an NHL setting before you came to the AHL as well?
Yeah, I was lucky in Ottawa that I was allowed to help out with so many different departments, so I could see exactly where I could see myself working, and corporate partnerships was somewhere I saw myself staying in. They really helped guide where I wanted to be in my career and help me structure it better. So I feel coming in here, I was confident with the past tools that I was experienced with.
Yeah, well, and some people might look at it like, you were working in the NHL before, and now you're working in the AHL, but it's a step forward in terms of the career, right?
Oh yeah, and I'm just prepped better from the NHL, and then coming down here, I'm really excited to be able to do more stuff and have my name on that stuff. It's just it's fun.
Yeah, and I guess once you settle in and kind of learn the area and who the big players are and that sort of thing. How excited are you for some actual hockey? Because you joined the team. Yeah. Were you here at the end of the season?
No, I came right after.
Right after. I was going to say it was close, and then last season we had Alex Smith started with like 4 games left in the season. So you haven't even experienced game night yet. How much are you looking forward to that?
No, I'm looking forward to it. It's different hockey. It's more they have places to be and they want to be there. Yeah. So I'm really excited to see that kind of play out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What's been the best part about joining the team here in Belleville so far?
I hate to sound like a broken record, but the people. Yeah. Everybody's just been so welcoming. So,
again, and we say that all the time on this show. We have a great team here that backs each other, and again, there's a lot to do for a small group, and without everybody rowing in the same direction, that doesn't happen. So I would agree that's my favorite part about being here as well. What's been the biggest challenge so far in settling in? other than finding somewhere to live, because
that's
that's very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can go with that then. A lot of people, I think, would relate. On
probably trying to find somewhere to live. Yeah.
It's difficult. And you're getting to know the 401 pretty well, though, so that's good.
Oh, yeah. Every morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, the drive hopefully will get shorter. Are you still looking to move to town? All right, if anybody in Belleville is listening, Jill Hayward is looking for a place, so you can email her, haywardj@bellevillesens.com, and we'll help get her a little closer to the team here so she doesn't have to rip to Kingston all winter. Hopefully that'll work out for you, and either way, we're glad to have you aboard and appreciate the time doing this.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited.
Again, exciting times, plenty more new faces to meet over the coming weeks and get to know your FO. And when we come back, Joel and I will just wrap this episode and tell you what's on tap for Belly's community crew this weekend, because I know everyone is dying to know where Belly's going to be, so stay with us.
Get in the game. Start planning now for the next season of Belleville Senators hockey. The new Belleville Sens Business Elite program is a season seat membership just for business. Use tickets to treat your staff or attract new clients. Benefits include AHL TV game packages, exclusive member events, and more. All packages offer a VIP business experience like in-arena signage. More info on season seat memberships, flex packs, and the Business Elite program at BellevilleSens.com. Go, Sens, go!
Wrapping up on episode 21 of the Belleville Sens podcast, David Foote and Joel Vanderlaan here. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks to Nate McIver for his time earlier on, new assistant coach of the Belleville Sens, and thanks to Jill Hayward. I almost called her Jill Raycroft, who's the head of the Chamber of Commerce here in town. Jill Hayward from our corporate sales department, the latest interviewee on Get to Know Your FO. We'll have plenty more of those coming up in the coming weeks. At least 4 more, I think, staff members that you have to be introduced to before we throw all the names in a hat, shake it around, and start picking out who's going to do round 2 of Continue to Know Your FO. Get to know your FO better.
Yeah.
We'll come up with a name.
We'll get a segment in there. We'll get a catchy catchphrase or rather a title for it. So
if you have any ideas, info@bellevillesens.com, subject podcast segment titles in your email.
Yeah,
we'll sort it out.
Send him to David. He's he'll go through them all.
I'm not getting enough emails these days, so more emails, please. And Jill also kind of adds, as we were talking about, and it's maybe accidentally or unintentionally turned into a theme of the show, the amount of Maritimers, East Coasters in the organization. Jill is just another one of those, as is Nate McKinnon. And we were talking to Jill about her time with St. John's in the QMJHL, and she told us Phil Daou was the one player that stuck out in her mind. And as soon as and this always happens, as soon as the microphone turns off and the recording is stopped, a bunch more really good names came to mind.
Yeah, she went down through her list, and Thomas Chabot, Matthew Joseph, Matthew Highmore's coming in, Boku Amama. So she's seen all these guys, and she's thrilled to get to know them a little bit better through the course of the season. And obviously, like you mentioned, she's a true hockey fan. She grew up with the St. John Sea Dogs, a really historic organization. And it's awesome to see her passion come to life when she mentions these guys and the journeys they've been on. And she's on that journey too. She's interned in the NHL. She's got a full-time role here with the Belleville Senators, and she's living her best life in the world of hockey, and it's great to see, and she's been a great addition to our staff as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, more Get to Know Your FO on the way in the coming weeks. Is it next week you're off?
Yes.
Yes, next week, guest host Brock Ormond from our Belleville Sens game day crew will be pinch hitting for Joel as he heads down to ring the Liberty Bell and do some other. Are you going to do the Rocky Steps while you're in Philly? You probably should, right?
I think I should. Yeah. I got a Phillies game. I got an Eagles game. Gonna eat some cheesesteaks.
An Eagles game next week?
No, August is my Philly trip.
Oh, I thought next week was. You're just off next.
I'm
week.
just off next week. I'm
okay.
just chilling.
Well, we don't need to get too much into your trip.
No, we'll talk about that later in the summer.
That sounds like a hell of a time, though.
It's going to be fun. It's something I've wanted to do for a while, and I'm excited to see those elements that you see on TV. Right, you see the Lincoln Financial Field, you see Citizens Bank Ballpark. So kind of get to live in the moment, and But we'll leave that for a later show.
Yeah, that's coming up in August. We'll get the full Philly recap from Joel Vanderlaan. Before we say goodbye on the show this week, though, we do want to remind you that Belly's community crew is out and about at events across the Quinte region at the Quinte West Pop-Ups last weekend. I think they are at, depending on when you're listening to this, Friday evening at 9 Golf. They'll be stopping by the Rotary Love Kids event there. Saturday, I think it's in the afternoon. 1 to 4? Hang on, I'm going to pull my notes up so I actually sound like I know what I'm talking about here. 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. That's July 22nd. Belly's community crew will be at the Belleville Pop-Ups at Westwicks Park. And again, it's not just a chance to meet and greet and get a photo with your favorite mascot. It's also a chance to enter the Belly's Summer Crew Contest, which includes a pair of season tickets, parking, and a whole lot more. All the details on that at BellevilleSens.com. And tickets are available. Last week's episode, if you want more on the schedule breakdown, you can head back to episode 20, listen to that. Schedule's out. Phones have been ringing off the hook. Seems like fans are getting pretty excited, and the ticket buying, at least for groups and flex packs, is really ramping up. So we don't want people to wait too long to pick their games.
No, and it's been awesome to see all the fans and the ticket account executives taking the calls and putting the games in and all these flex packs and groups and getting that all sorted. And I know Alex Pickford, the director of ticket sales and service, he's been thrilled with the engagement that's come out since the schedule release. And talking to some of the guys in the office there too, they're just excited to get going, and now that you have the schedule, you can start booking in all these events, and it's been great to see.
Yeah, we're all getting excited to get going, but we still have a couple months to wait. We'll continue to fill that time weekly with the Belleville Sens podcast. More player and staff interviews coming up, and whatever news and notes break over the 7 days or so in between tapings, we'll try to catch you up on as much of that as we can. One more reminder, please subscribe to the show to make sure you don't miss an episode. Give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. A review would be helpful as well, as again, we are continuing to build the Belleville Sens podcast through the offseason and into the 23-24 American Hockey League regular season. One more thank you to Nate McIver and Jill Hayward for their time. One more thank you to Joel Vanderlaan for riding along, and to you for listening, and we hope you'll join us next week on the Belleville Sens podcast.